Adventure Time might look like a goofy show about a kid and his talking dog, but it's actually one of the most emotional, thoughtful cartoons ever made. It's about growing up, messing up, figuring things out, and learning how to deal with stuff like heartbreak, loneliness, and change, all while hanging out in a post-apocalyptic candy kingdom. Finn's just a kid trying to do the right thing, even when he doesn't know what that is. So yeah, grab your backpack, call up your best bud, and let's explore the story of Adventure Time. Before all his big adventures, Finn is just a boy living in a treehouse with his best friend Jake. His regular days follow a simple pattern. He wakes up, eats breakfast with Jake, then heads out looking for people to help or monsters to fight. He might visit Princess Bubblegum at the Candy Kingdom or hang out with his friends in places like the Fire Kingdom or the Ice Kingdom. At night, he returns home to play BMO and tell Jake about his day. It's a good life, full of fun and small adventures. What makes Finn special in the Land of Ooo is that he's a human, possibly the last one around. Everyone else is made of candy, fire, slime, or magic. Finn stands out with his blue shirt, blue shorts, green backpack, and his signature white bear hat that he never takes off. He's brave, kind, and always ready to jump into action with his battle cry, Adventure Time! In one episode, Memories of Boom Boom Mountain, we get a rare glimpse into what shaped Finn's need to help others. When he was just a baby, Finn had an embarrassing accident on a leaf. He went boom boom and then fell backward into his own poop. He cried for a whole day, but nobody came to help him. In that sad moment, baby Finn made a promise to himself. He would always help anyone in need, no matter how small their problem seemed. This story might sound silly at first, but it reveals something deep about Finn. He knows firsthand how it feels to need help and not get it. The pain of being alone and embarrassed stayed with him, shaping him into the hero we meet in the show. He doesn't want anyone else to feel the same helplessness. We see this motivation clearly when Finn meets Mountain Man, a crying mountain who's upset because he has to watch people roughhousing all day. While Jake dismisses this as a weird problem not worth solving, Finn immediately wants to help. As he remembers his own past, we see a flashback of a ladybug mother covering her child's eyes away from Finn's mess, calling him a kid with problems instead of helping. Finn sees himself in Mountain Man's situation, both judged instead of helped. Finn tries everything to fix Mountain Man's problem. First, he asks the fighters to be more gentle. When that doesn't work, he has them pet each other instead of fighting. Finally, he creates an elaborate system that makes everyone happy at once. The fighters get to roughhouse, Mountain Man doesn't have to see it, and several other characters with conflicting needs all get what they want too. This shows how Finn thinks. He's creative, kind, and never gives up until everyone is happy. Finn's not out to fulfill a prophecy or avenge a great loss. He's just a kid who remembers what it felt like to be small and helpless, and he never wants anyone else to feel that way. He fights monsters, yes, but mostly he fights for feelings. Finn might look like a simple, happy-go-lucky kid on the outside, but inside, he's driven by a deep sense of empathy born from his own embarrassing moment. His everyday life might involve sword fights and magic, but at his core, he's just a boy who turned his own sad experience into a mission to help others. A true hero whose power comes from understanding pain and wanting to stop it. While Finn's life in the peaceful Land of Ooo seems like just another day of simple fun and heroic deeds, everything changes when an unexpected quest challenges him to prove that his heart is as brave as his sword. Don't forget to subscribe. There's a whole lot more coming, and you won't want to miss it. And check out our other videos on your other childhood cartoons. Sometimes, just when things seem normal, something wild happens that changes everything. For Finn, those moments aren't just big battles. They're chances to grow into the kind of person he wants to be. For Finn, these moments are chances to prove that his big heart and unwavering moral compass are more than just childhood fantasies. In the Enchiridion, things start like any other adventure. Finn saves Princess Bubblegum, no big deal. But then she mentions a legendary book meant only for the truly righteous, and suddenly, it's not just another quest. For the first time, Finn's usual monster fighting feels like it might lead to something greater. He's no longer just the kid with a sword. It feels like more than just fighting monsters. It's a chance for Finn to show what kind of person he really is. But here's the thing about Finn. He doesn't follow the path you'd expect. When he and Jake hear cries for help on their journey to the Enchiridion, Finn immediately abandons his quest. His actions show that even when getting the book would fulfill his dream of being recognized as a hero, he can't ignore someone in need. That moment says everything about Finn. Even when he's chasing something he's dreamed about, he won't ignore someone who needs help. The stakes get dramatically higher in Mortal Folly when Princess Bubblegum reveals an ancient evil trapped in amber, the Lich. Her warnings make it clear that this is no ordinary threat. The Lich exists only to destroy all life. It's a lot to put on the shoulders of a kid in a bear hat. When the Lich escapes, Finn doesn't hesitate. There's no time for self-doubt. He puts on the protective sweater Princess Bubblegum made for him, straps on Billy's mystical gauntlet that she gives him, and charges after the most dangerous being in Ooo. He's terrified, but determined. At this point, being a hero doesn't matter. What matters is doing the job because there's no one else left to do it. But the most personal call comes in Incendia, when Jake, desperate to cure Finn's heartbreak over Princess Bubblegum, accidentally introduces him to Flame Princess. After watching her fall from the sky and catching her in his arms, Finn discovers a whole new kind of adventure, one that burns both literally and figuratively. Despite getting physically burned with a mark left on his face, Finn is instantly smitten, his feelings obvious to everyone. These moments transform Finn's world completely. They take him from playground heroics to world-saving responsibilities, from childhood crushes to dangerous romance. Each time, the stakes get higher and the challenge is more personal. Each time, he answers the call without hesitation. What stands out about Finn is how he jumps into things without thinking twice. He doesn't plan, he just cares. When someone needs help or the world needs saving, Finn just goes. He doesn't know what awaits him on the other side, but he knows who he is and what he stands for. And that's why, despite being just a kid, Finn becomes the greatest hero Ooo has ever known. Not because he's the strongest or the smartest, but because when adventure calls, he's always there to answer without hesitation. Because no matter what's waiting on the other side, Finn's always ready to face it. Finn dives into every adventure with excitement, but the real challenge often comes in the quiet moments when he hesitates and questions whether he's making the right choice. Finn eagerly jumps into every adventure that comes his way, but sometimes the real challenge isn't answering the call. It's facing those moments when he hesitates and wonders if he's doing the right thing. Sometimes, even the most eager heroes hesitate. For Finn, those moments reveal the difference between what he thinks heroism is and what it really demands. For Finn the human, these moments show the tricky balance between his lofty ideals of heroism and the complicated, often messy reality of what being a true hero looks like. In The Jiggler, Finn's first real encounter with responsibility unfolds in an unexpected way. When Finn and Jake first discover the cute, dancing Jiggler, they impulsively take it home as a pet without considering the responsibility. Their excitement focuses solely on the fun of having a dancing creature near their bed each morning, thinking nothing of the care this being might need. When the Jiggler becomes sick, leaking pink juice from multiple holes, Finn's initial reaction isn't to accept responsibility, but to desperately plug the holes and pretend everything's fine. His actions reflect a deep denial even as the Jiggler literally explodes before his eyes. His reaction to the situation shows how Finn can be quick to avoid the consequences of his actions, even when they hurt someone. When the Jiggler paints a picture of its mother, Finn is forced to face the mistake he's made. His initial refusal comes not from fear of danger, but from fear of admitting he's caused harm rather than prevented it. In Rainy Day Daydream, Finn's refusal takes on a different form. Trapped indoors by a knife storm, Jake suggests they use their imaginations for adventure. Finn's response is immediate and dismissive, expressing contempt for imagination as something for nerds who can't handle reality. Here, Finn is actively rejecting a form of adventure that doesn't align with his self-image as a physical hero. Finn's reluctance to embrace a different kind of adventure reflects his narrow view of what it means to be a hero. He'd rather do nothing at all than engage in something he perceives as weak or childish. Only when Jake's imagination creates tangible dangers, from lava floors to invisible monsters, does Finn finally embrace imagination to save his friend. As Finn finally imagines his own magical land, we see how far he's come from his initial rejection. Perhaps Finn's most complex refusal appears in What Have You Done?, when Princess Bubblegum asks Finn and Jake to capture the Ice King without explanation. When they discover they've imprisoned the Ice King without just cause, Finn faces a profound moral dilemma. His growing doubts lead him to eventually release the Ice King, recognizing the wrongness of their actions. In this moment, Finn has to decide whether to follow orders or listen to his conscience. He refuses to continue a mission when he realizes it might violate his moral code, even when that mission comes from Princess Bubblegum, whom he deeply admires. This refusal represents a more mature form of heroism, where Finn questions authority and weighs ethical considerations rather than simply following orders. These moments add depth to Finn's character, showing how he struggles with his own flaws and growth. His refusals are relatable moments of avoidance, moral questioning, and resistance to growth that requires discomfort. Whether he's avoiding responsibility for a sick Jiggler, dismissing imagination as beneath him, or questioning orders that feel wrong, Finn's hesitations make his eventual courage all the more meaningful. Without these moments of hesitation, Finn's journey wouldn't feel as real. It's in his doubts and missteps that his bravery truly emerges. Instead, we see a character struggling with what it really means to be brave, not just facing physical challenge, but confronting your own mistakes, embracing new ways of thinking, and sometimes standing up to those you respect when your conscience demands it. In the end, it's Finn's willingness to confront his mistakes and grow that makes his heroism feel earned. When he eventually overcomes these refusals, when he returns the Jiggler to its mother, embraces imagination to save Jake, or stands by his principles even against Princess Bubblegum, we understand the weight of these choices. We've seen him at his most human, and that makes his heroism feel earned and authentic. Even when Finn struggles with his own hesitation limitations and fears, he's about to discover a mentor whose lessons will push him to question everything he thought he knew about heroism. Every hero is shaped by someone before them, a figure whose legend lingers in the background, challenging them to rise to greater heights. For Finn the human, that someone was Billy, the greatest warrior Ooo had ever known before Finn himself arrived on the scene. Some mentors coddle. Billy existed in Finn's mind as a figure too large to touch but impossible to ignore, a hero he admired, even if he couldn't fully reach him. Their relationship wasn't built on daily lessons or practice sessions. It was something deeper, a connection forged through shared purpose and weight of expectation. In His Hero, we first encounter Billy, not as a myth, but as flesh and blood, living in retirement in his legendary crack. When Finn and Jake discover Billy's sword, they're overcome with awe, singing his name and recalling his legendary feats through flashback. Finn's reaction reveals how deeply Billy's exploits have already shaped his understanding of heroism. Finn sees Billy as the real deal, the kind of hero he hopes to become someday. What makes Billy such a compelling mentor figure is the complexity of his guidance. Unlike typical mentors who offer straightforward wisdom, Billy's perspective on heroism made Finn question everything he had believed about being a hero. When Finn eagerly asks to be taken on as Billy's hero apprentice, Billy responds with disillusionment, suggesting that fighting monsters is pointless, directly attacking the foundation of Finn's heroic identity. Billy's words leave Finn grappling with his own instincts, torn between his idea of heroism and the path Billy lays before him. When Billy suggests that the only meaningful way to help people is through non-violent community service, Finn immediately commits to this path, despite how unnatural it feels. This willingness to abandon his natural inclination shows the immense influence Billy holds over him. What follows is a series of well-intentioned disasters as Finn attempts to embrace nonviolence. He creates armored shoes that attack people, transforms citizens into stone-skinned monsters, and turns Lumpy Space Princess into a destructive cyborg, all in an effort to help people the Billy way. Finn's attempts to follow Billy's advice end in chaos, revealing how easy it is to lose yourself when you try to be someone you're not. In the end, Finn faces a choice between what Billy taught him and what he feels deep down. His instincts win out, and he does what he knows is right. As Finn speaks about his decision, something shifts in Billy's quiet presence, as if Finn's words are filling a space that had long been empty. Billy acknowledges that Finn's words are filling an emptiness within him, showing that even mentors have something to learn from their students. In the end, Billy's recognition of Finn and Jake feels like a quiet yet profound shift. They are his heroes now. This moment transforms the relationship from a one-way transfer of wisdom to a true exchange, the mark of genuine mentorship. Billy doesn't just shape Finn. Finn reshapes Billy, helping him rediscover his own heroic purpose. Years later, when Finn finds Billy's bucket list, the past and present collide. Billy's influence is still deeply woven into Finn's life. When Finn discovers Billy's bucket list after his death, he immediately commits to completing the final items. Not because Billy asked him to, but because following in his mentor's footsteps feels like the right thing to do. His commitment to Canyon reveals how deeply Billy's legacy has become intertwined with Finn's own sense of purpose. The most profound mentorship moments often come after the mentor is gone, when their lessons must be applied without their guidance. As Finn faces his greatest fear, the ocean, he doesn't just remember Billy, he invokes him before plunging into the water. Billy's memory gives Finn the courage to face what he couldn't face on his own. Finn looks up at the night sky, and in that moment, Billy's constellation shines bright, a quiet sign of approval. This celestial approval confirms Finn's worthiness to carry on Billy's legacy. But more importantly, it gives him one final gift, information about his human father, setting Finn on a new path that will challenge him in ways Billy's example alone never could. This revelation in the Lich episode becomes even more poignant and tragic when we learn that Billy Guiding Finn was actually the Lich in disguise. Yet, even this corruption of their mentorship ultimately leads Finn towards growth. Finn's trust in Billy is tested when a twisted version of his mentor guides him toward the Enchiridion. Through his betrayal, Finn learns that even the most heroic figures have their flaws. Billy's influence on Finn was never about words, it was about the spaces between them, in the way Finn saw the world through Billy's eyes. Billy doesn't lecture Finn or give him a training montage. Their connection transcends traditional teaching. Billy was what Finn aspired to be, not because Billy told him to follow in his footsteps, but because Finn chose to. And when Billy's spirit finally acknowledges Finn's growth with a simple expression of pride, it hits with the force of 1,000 lessons. A mentor's true impact isn't measured by the skill they impart, but by how they expand their students' understanding of what's possible. Billy didn't just show Finn what it meant to be a hero, he made him rethink everything Finn thought he knew about heroism. Through that challenge, Finn discovered both his limitations and his potential, and ultimately found his own heroic path. While Billy's mentorship helps Finn question his beliefs and redefine heroism, it soon becomes clear that the true growth for Finn will require him to leave the familiar behind and step into a new, uncharted world. If you're enjoying this, give it a quick like and subscribe. For Finn, the adventure begins when the world he knows slips away, and he's left with nothing nothing but uncertainty ahead. For Finn the human, this doesn't happen all at once, but through many steps away from safety, each one changing him more than the last. In The Lich, Finn's actions unlock a path to a new world, a world that doesn't wait for him to prepare. He follows Jake into the unknown, unsure of what he's stepping into. As the swirling hole opens up, Finn jumps in after Jake, who's being pulled into the darkness. This takes more than just being brave. It means leaving behind everything safe and known. This step comes out of nowhere. No time for preparation, no chance to second guess. One moment, he's on familiar ground, and the next, he's somewhere entirely new, with nothing but instinct to guide him. The world he knows disappears as the portal closes behind him. When he steps through the portal, it's like the world he knew no longer fits him. Everything has shifted. He's no longer just Finn, but a stranger in a world that isn't his own. This happens again and again in Finn's story, but most clearly in Escape from the Citadel, when Finn chases his human father through a space prison. Here, he crosses both a real space and an emotional one, as he travels into deep space while also learning about where he came from. Despite Jake's warning, Finn clings to the crystal, desperate to hold onto a connection to the father he's never known. The cost of this choice becomes clear when the crystal rips him apart. In this harsh moment, Finn loses both his father and a part of his body. He can never go back to being who he was before. The cost of crossing this line goes beyond just his body. When Finn returns from the Citadel, the weight of his discovery lingers in the quiet spaces. The world feels different now. He feels different. Finding out his father is alive, and worse, a selfish coward who left him behind, breaks the hero story Finn had made up in his head. Accepting this truth means growing up in a hard way. We see this inner journey clearly in Dungeon Train, where Finn finds a train that keeps making up new monsters to fight and treasures to find. At first happy with this endless adventure, Finn gets hooked, using the train to avoid dealing with his breakup with Flame Princess. Finn becomes trapped on the train, fighting endless battles and seeking treasures. But the adventure turns hollow. It's a cycle that doesn't lead anywhere, until Finn realizes it's time to step off. A magic crystal shows an older Finn, still on the train, still fighting the same fights years later. This shows what happens to heroes who get stuck. Only when Finn listens to his gut feeling that it's time can he leave the train and face his real feelings. Sometimes, Finn's big steps aren't physical journeys, but moral choices. In His Hero, Finn tries to walk a new path, one that asks him to put down his sword and find another way. But the results aren't what he expected. Finn's attempts to follow this path lead to one mess after another, as he fights against his own nature. The breaking point comes when Finn makes the hard decision to fight, not just for himself, but for someone else. In that moment, he learns something deeper about what it means to be a hero. Finn's path is rarely clear. Where others might have a map, he only has instinct. And sometimes, that's all he needs. Unlike heroes in old stories who get clear tasks and rewards, Finn often stumbles across his big moments during everyday adventures. And unlike many cartoon characters who never change, Finn carries the weight of each crossing with him. After losing his arm, Finn's body changes, just as he does. Each new form, whether it's a flower, a thorn, or a robot arm, tells the story of what he's gained and what he's lost. When he learns hard truths about where he came from, those truths shape what he does next. Each big step leaves him changed. In later episodes, Finn's energy remains, but there's a quietness to him, a deeper thoughtfulness behind each action. He still loves adventure, still faces challenges with energy, but now he carries the wisdom earned through each step away from safety. In crossing these thresholds, Finn hasn't just traveled out into the world of Ooo. He's traveled inward, finding the person he's meant to be. After stepping into the unknown, Finn now has to face tough challenges, rely on his friends, and battle enemies that force him to rethink what it means to be a hero. A hero's path is never easy or straight. As Finn the human travels through the bright and dangerous land of Ooo, he faces many tests of his bravery, meets friends who help him, and battles enemies that make him face his deepest fears. This part of his journey is where Finn really grows up, through challenges, friendships, and learning his limits. In Adventure Time, the real tests go beyond fighting monsters. They force Finn to make hard choices, question what he believes, and grow through tough times. In Ocean of Fear, Finn faces something that can't be battled or outwitted, a deep personal fear that rises from within him, symbolized by the Fear Feaster. This challenge goes beyond a villain Finn can punch or a monster he can outwit. It's a fear that lives deep inside him, symbolized by the Fear Feaster that emerges from his belly button. The Fear Feaster taunts Finn, planting a seed of doubt in his mind. Could his fear disqualify him from being a true hero? For a moment, it seems like the fear itself might become the true enemy. Finn doesn't fight the fear. He faces it, not with bravado, but with a quiet acceptance, acknowledging it as part of himself. This honesty is the first step to real growth. He tries Jake's 3-step plan, which gets more extreme with each step, but finally finds his own way to face his fear, by knocking himself out to save Jake from drowning. Another key test happens in another way. Finn's path seems blocked at every turn. yet he charges forward, convinced that sheer willpower can overcome all obstacles, even when they're not the ones he expects. Each time, he's told there's only one way forward, but stubborn Finn shouts "My way!" and crashes through thorn bushes, acid rivers, and other dangers. What begins as a display of stubborn courage slowly unravels, revealing that sometimes the hardest test is knowing when to stop pushing and rethink your approach. What seemed like a bold move soon backfires, and Finn's path leads to unintended harm. He realizes that sometimes bravery means more than just charging ahead. The true challenge is in realizing when the path isn't leading where he hoped. When he finally admits he was wrong, it shows real growth. Sometimes, a hero's biggest test is admitting they've failed. Couldn't make it through Ooo without his friend, who give him both practical help and emotional support. Jake the dog is Finn's most loyal ally, acting as both brother and teacher. Their friendship shows the power of always being there for someone. Jake supports Finn even when he doesn't agree with him. In Ocean of Fear, Jake tries everything to help Finn beat his fear of water, from holding his hand to pushing him in. Even when nothing works, Jake sticks by Finn's side. In Princess Cookie, Jake's empathy reveals the heart of his friendship with Finn. Sometimes, standing by a friend means stepping away to offer something more. When Jake understands Cookie's dream of being a princess, something Princess Bubblegum once laughed at, he breaks away from Finn to help Cookie escape. Jake's decision to help Cookie, even if it means disagreeing with Finn, shifts the dynamic between them, reminding Finn that true loyalty isn't about agreement, but understanding. The episode ends with Jake visiting Cookie in the mental hospital, bringing him a crown made of flowers and calling him Your Highness. This small kindness changes Cookie's world, as other patients start seeing him as royalty. It reminds us that friends often provide what the hero can't. In this case, understanding where Finn only saw someone breaking the law. Princess Bubblegum's reaction to the Duke's trickery shows the weight of her pride, and the tough decisions Finn has to make when faced with her anger. In The Duke, she gets really upset when she thinks the Duke of Nuts turned her green and bald. She says she'd never forgive anyone who did this to her, which puts Finn in a tough spot since he was actually responsible. This forces Finn to choose between telling the truth and protecting himself, between his values and his relationship with an important ally. The monsters Finn battles often hold up a mirror to his fears, his doubts, and the parts of him he's still learning to understand. In Princess Cookie, Baby Snaps, Cookie first seems like a simple bad guy. He's taking hostages and demanding Princess Bubblegum's crown. But when Jake learns his story, we see more to it. Cookie wanted to be a princess because he dreamed of helping others as a child, just like Finn's own dream of being a hero. The difference is that Finn had people supporting him, while Cookie was laughed at and dismissed. This makes us wonder, how much of being a hero comes from inside, and how much comes from having people believe in you? When Jake tells Cookie he doesn't need the crown and could start his own kingdom where everyone can be whatever they want, he's giving Cookie the acceptance that Princess Bubblegum didn't. The same acceptance that helped Finn become a hero. The Fear Feaster in Ocean of Fear is a different kind of enemy, one that lives inside Finn. Unlike monsters Finn can beat with courage and skill, this enemy uses his weaknesses against him, saying his heart is made of stone and that he'll never get over his fear. The Fear Feaster doesn't attack with claws or teeth. Instead, it chips away at Finn's confidence, twisting his own mind into a far more dangerous foe. These tests, allies, and enemies help set the rules of Finn's world, both physical laws and moral guides. In Ooo, the landscape bends to willpower, but the real challenge lies in facing what's inside, acknowledging fear, failure, and truth without hiding behind a hero's armor. Finn learns that true heroism goes beyond physical bravery. It's about being emotionally honest, owning up to his mistakes, confronting his fears, and growing from the experience. These adventures show how this part of the hero's journey builds character and raises the stakes. Each test pushes Finn to face different parts of being a hero, from physical bravery to doing the right thing, to understanding himself. His friends support him, but also challenge him to grow, while his enemies make him look at his own values and limits. Through it all, Finn becomes not a perfect hero, but a real person who keeps learning and changing, which might be the most heroic journey of all. As Finn faces his toughest tests, relies on his allies, and confronts his enemies, he begins to approach the deeper, more personal battles within himself, preparing for the emotional journey ahead. Heroes fight more than just monsters and bad guys. As the last human in Ooo, his biggest adventures happen inside his mind, where he faces doubt, fear, and questions about who he really is. Finn hits a point where the journey shifts inward. It's not just about facing monsters anymore. It's about confronting his own fears and doubts. This is the emotional test, the one that'll either make or break him. Real change begins here. In The Creeps, what starts as a fun mystery game in a spooky mansion quickly turns into something truly scary. Finn, dressed as a ghost, finds himself more and more alone as his friends vanish one by one. The playful mood turns to real fear. The mansion becomes Finn's symbolic cave, dark hallways with portraits whose eyes follow him, creaky floors that seem alive under his feet. As Jake, BMO, and others disappear, Finn's courage starts to crack. This is no longer about solving a mystery. It's about facing his growing loneliness and fear. When Finn finally meets the Ghost Lady, it's not some outside monster, but a sign of his deepest worries. Finding out Jake planned the whole thing as a prank might seem like a relief, but something stays with Finn, a part of him that's truly shaken. At the end, Finn admits to himself that he really did see something too scary to face. This quiet admission, whispered in the empty mansion halls, signals a shift in Finn's journey, a moment where the fears he can't outrun begin to settle within him, beyond any sword or laugh. Lost changes heroes in ways that battles never could. In The Tower, we see Finn at maybe his lowest point, having lost both his arm and much of his identity as the hero he thought he was. His response isn't the happy attitude we expect, but something raw and human: anger. Finn builds a makeshift tower, a physical sign of his journey inward and upward, made from junk and powered by pure emotional pain. The tower itself is the visible approach to his inmost cave, each wobbly floor showing another layer of his anger, another step away from his former self. Finn fixates on reaching space to find his father, driven by a raw need for answers. It's a side of Finn we haven't seen before, more uncertain, struggling with anger and the questions that have been gnawing at him. Princess Bubblegum sees the danger in this journey, explaining to Jake that Finn needs to work through these feelings or he'll never be whole again. She understands what Finn doesn't yet, that this tower, this journey into his rage, is necessary. In those quiet moments, Finn begins to understand that some challenges are deeper than monsters to fight. They reside within, requiring him to confront the hardest truths of his own heart. Perhaps no episode shows Finn's approach to his inmost cave more deeply than Betty, where along Ice King / Simon, he faces the meaning of identity and sacrifice. While Simon briefly gets back to his sanity and memories, Finn sees firsthand what it means to lose not just someone you love, but the very core of who you are. The stakes couldn't be higher. Simon desperately trying to reach Betty across time and space, while Finn watches, unable to stop the loss that's coming. For Finn, who has always seen himself as a hero who saves people, this is his deepest cave, realizing that some things can't be saved, some battles can't be won. What makes this moment even more powerful is how Finn connects to Simon's struggle. Finn, who has faced his own identity issues, learning about his human origins and then dealing with being abandoned by his father, Martin, sees his own fears reflected in Simon's problem. Both worry about losing their true selves, and watching Simon desperately try to hold on to his humanity forces Finn to face the scary thought that he too could lose himself. Just as Simon loses himself to the crown's magic, Finn fears his own humanity might slip away because of his unresolved hurts in relationships. After Betty's sacrifice, Finn's understanding of heroism starts to change. Being a hero isn't always about winning. Sometimes it's about witnessing someone else's pain and carrying that knowledge forward. What makes Finn's journey so impactful is the subtle shifts in how he faces what comes next. He doesn't suddenly become a perfect hero. Instead, he's more mindful, more aware of his limits, and more open to asking for help when he needs it. Finn begins to grasp that courage isn't the absence of fear, but the quiet strength to move forward, even when it feels like everything within him is asking him to stop. The real courage is facing the fears, anger, and helplessness inside himself. These moments shape him into more than just an adventurer with a sword. He learns to understand himself better and bounce back from whatever life throws his way. In quiet moments of doubt, in towers built from anger, in haunted mansions where ghosts might be real, that's where heroes are truly made, not in victory, but in the willingness to keep moving forward, even when winning seems impossible. This is where Finn truly becomes the hero of his own story. As Finn steps deeper into his own darkness, we start to see the real challenge taking shape, the moment everything breaks before it can begin again. Every hero must face their darkest moment, the ultimate test that challenge everything they believe about themselves. In Adventure Time, Finn's journey goes beyond fighting monsters or saving princesses. His true heroism shines when he faces his deepest fears, giving up what matters most, and goes through a kind of death before coming back as something greater. For Finn, the real turning point is a series of raw moments where he confronts his deepest fears and comes face to face with who he truly is. It's through these struggles that he starts to change on a deeper level. In The Creeps, what starts as a fun murder mystery game at a spooky mansion quickly turns into something truly scary. When Finn sees the ghostly lady hiding in the shadow, he's really scared. But the true test comes at the end, when Finn admits to himself that he saw a ghost but won't tell anyone about it. This quiet moment shows something important. Our brave hero has met something he can't beat with his sword or smarts. It's a fear he can't even share with his best friend. The ghost is Finn's first real meeting with his own past lives and death, an idea that will follow him throughout his journey. The real test is accepting that some fears can't be overcome through regular heroism. Some things must be accepted, even when they scare us to our core. Finn's biggest test comes in the vault, where his mind forces him to face what he's been hiding from himself. His sleepwalking and crying out, "She's got me!" shows that something buried deep inside him needs to be resolved. Through going back in time in his mind, Finn discovers he was once Shoko, a one-armed thief who betrayed Princess Bubblegum and died in toxic waste. When Shoko's ghost appears under his floorboards, Finn doesn't run or fight. He accepts this truth about his past life. By telling Princess Bubblegum he was Shoko and returning her stolen amulet, Finn experiences a kind of death, the end of his simple understanding of himself and his innocent view of the world. The test here is accepting yourself. By facing his past life's mistakes and making things right, Finn is reborn. His vault feels lighter afterwards, showing that by bringing this hidden part of himself into the light, he becomes more whole. Perhaps no episode better shows the power of these tests than Simon and Marcy, where we see not Finn's ordeal, but Ice King's, once Simon Petrikov, as he gives up his sanity to save young Marceline. When Simon and Marcy are trapped by mutants looking for medicine, Simon makes the ultimate choice, putting on the magic crown that will save Marceline's life, but cost him his mind and identity. Trying to hold on to who he is by singing a familiar TV theme song, Simon uses the crown's power to save Marceline while losing himself in the process. Their final exchange shows his transformation has already begun. Though this test belongs to Simon, it deeply affects Finn, who hears this story. He sees in Simon's sacrifice what true heroism is, not just beating enemies, but being willing to give up everything for someone you love. It changes how Finn understands what being a hero really means. After facing these tests, Finn emerges changed. He's no longer just an adventurer looking for glory or princess kisses. He's become someone deeper, more complex, someone who understands that heroism is about facing those things and moving forward anyway. In his darkest moments, Finn learns that real strength is about finding the courage to put yourself back together, even when it seems impossible. It's about letting go of who you thought you were to become who you truly are. The mark of a true hero is in the willingness to sacrifice, to face the shadows inside, and to be changed by the journey. In Adventure Time's special mix of fun and wisdom, we see that the greatest adventure is the journey inward, where true heroes are born. After everything he's been through, Finn isn't the same, and that's when something new starts to grow. Heroes fight monsters and rescue princesses, but what do they really get in the end? In Adventure Time, Finn rarely finishes his quests with gold coins or fancy prizes. Instead, his reward comes in quiet moments of understanding, the kind that change who he is inside, not what he owns. After all his adventures, what Finn gains is how he starts to change, how each journey slowly shapes a hero out of a boy who just wanted excitement. When the Door Lord takes precious things from Finn and his friends in What Was Missing, their search to get these items back leads them through anger, music, and finally truth. The magical door only opens when everyone drops their guard and gets real with each other. When Princess Bubblegum reveals she wears Marceline's gift as night clothes, when Marceline can't hide that she just wanted to spend time with the group, these honest moments become the true prize. Finn's heart swells as he witnesses the quiet but profound connection between friends who had long kept their feelings hidden. It's being part of something honest, not something perfect. The discovery of vulnerability and trust among his friends lingers with Finn, a lesson more valuable than any treasure he could find. The Door Lord may have taken their stuff, but what they discovered was worth far more. Though they joke about friendship being the real treasure, the truth of it sinks in when they see what they've learned about each other. When a bear tries to become just like Finn by copying everything he does in his footsteps, Finn at first enjoys the attention, but his true reward comes when he recognizes the bear's real wish to be a hero too. Finn encourages the bear to be himself instead of a copy, then passes on the hero guidebook called the Enchiridion. In this moment, Finn receives the gift of mentorship, seeing someone inspired by his example but finding their own path. Even though the episode ends with the surprise that the bear was working for the evil Lich, he's grown enough to inspire others and to understand that being a hero is something to share, not keep to yourself. When Finn hands over the Enchiridion, it's not just a gesture. It's a quiet acknowledgement of how much he's grown, from seeking adventure for its own sake to understanding its deeper meaning. The bear's emotional admission that he wants to be a hero like Finn gives him something unexpected, the chance to see himself as someone worth looking up to. It's like a mirror that shows him not just who he is now, but who he could become as a teacher and guide. In Simon and Marcy, Finn learns about Simon Petrikov's ultimate sacrifice to save young Marceline. By putting on the magic crown that would eventually take over his mind, Simon shows a different kind of heroism, one based on love, not adventure. After hearing Marceline's story, he sees the Ice King differently, not as a weird old wizard, but as someone who once made the greatest sacrifice possible. This new understanding changes how Finn thinks about being a hero, teaching him that sometimes the bravest thing is protecting those you love, no matter what it costs you. As Simon desperately fights to save Marceline while trying to hold on to his sanity, in Simon's quiet sacrifice, Finn sees a new kind of heroism, a love so deep it erases all fear of personal loss. After his adventures, Finn returns to the Tree Fort. It's a familiar rhythm, a space where he can rest, reflect, and prepare for whatever's next. But something has changed inside him. Each quest leaves him wiser, more understanding, more human. Along the way, Finn learns that the greatest strength lies not in invincibility, but in the courage to be vulnerable, to open up, and to grow with each step. In the quiet moments between between adventures, we see what Finn has really gained. Not battle trophies, but the wisdom to know which battles matter. And in the end, that's a treasure worth more than all the magical items in OO put together. If you've made it this far, spam that subscribe button. After all the battles and revelations, Finn returns to a world that feels the same, even though he's no longer the same boy who left. Returning feels like walking into a place that once made sense, only now it doesn't quite fit the way it used to. It's often more complicated than the external struggles he's faced, as he must now confront how much of himself has truly transformed. Finn is finally on his way back, but the journey isn't over. He's changed, no doubt about it, but now he has to prove it. As he moves forward, the challenges he faces will test everything he's learned. Is the growth he's experienced real, or will he slip back into his old habits? The road ahead will show if the lessons he's learned truly stuck, or if they were just temporary changes that ended when he left the dungeon. No episode better shows the hero's return journey than the Hall of Egress, where Finn's entire adventure revolves around finding his way home. After getting stuck in a strange dungeon, Finn discovers he can only escape by keeping his eyes closed, but each time he opens them, even by accident, he's sent right back to the start. The Hall of Egress is a symbol for the hero's journey itself. The entrance is easy. The exit demands transformation. When Finn finally escapes and returns to Jake, he thinks his challenge is over, but there's a catch. He still can't open his eyes. If he does, he's instantly taken back to the dungeon. Despite being physically home, Finn remains caught between worlds. He stands at the threshold, no longer holding on to what he knows. With a blindfold over his eyes, Finn steps forward, embracing the uncertainty ahead. This moment is crucial. It's not just about getting back to where he started. Finn has to fully absorb everything he's been through, confronting the lessons he's learned and testing if they've truly changed him before he can go back for good. What makes this journey special is that Finn chooses to leave the comfort of home, starting a lonely, blindfolded quest rather than staying in a fake normal life. He wanders alone for months, growing wild and untamed, until he finally discovers that the true exit was never about keeping his eyes closed. It was about seeing differently. In Daddy's Little Monster, Finn and Jake embark on a perilous return, their path fraught with more than just physical danger. After finding that Marceline has been possessed by her father's amulet, they must find a way to save her and return home. The normal challenge of escape becomes complicated when they discover Marceline's demonic change. The true test comes when Finn makes a moral choice that defines this stage of the journey. After removing the amulet from Marceline, escape is within reach, but Jake can't make it through the portal because demons are grabbing his legs. Finn could escape with Marceline, completing his main mission, but instead, he puts on the amulet himself. The amulet's dark power looms over Finn, yet his choice to wear it is a quiet testament to how much he's changed. Though Hunson Abadir ultimately saves Finn from the amulet's power, the exhaustion and trauma on Finn's face in the final scene reveal the cost of the return journey. When Marceline checks on him, he can't even respond. A powerful reminder that the road back often leaves scars. Sometimes, the road back begins when you least expect it. In Return to the Nightosphere, Finn and Jake wake up with no memory, trapped in a jail cell in the demonic underworld. What makes this journey compelling is that Finn and Jake must piece together who they are and why they're there, while plotting their escape at the same time. The banana Jake carries becomes a symbol of their forgotten past, a reminder that even when we forget who we are, something always remains. Their road back takes them through hellish landscapes, endless lines, and nightmarish bureaucracy, a fitting symbol for the obstacles heroes often face when trying to return to normal life after deep experiences. When Finn and Jake think they've tracked down Hunson Abadir, they're thrown off by the twist. It's actually Marceline in disguise. This moment captures a crucial part of the journey. Things are rarely as they seem, and the hero has to stay sharp. Instead of retreating, Finn immediately decides to help Marceline, showing that sometimes the road back can lead straight into a whole new adventure. Finn's time in the Hall of Egress concludes with an unspoken truth, one that carries more weight than any victory he's won before. After wandering blindfolded for months, he discovers a new cave similar to the one he first entered. This time, he navigates it differently, still blindfolded, but with the wisdom gained from his ordeal. When he reaches the door that had trapped him for so long, he hears BMO's voice in his head, noting that something's different. Finally opening his eyes, Finn sees a clear tunnel where the door once stood. As he runs towards freedom, Princess Bubblegum's voice offers a mysterious clue about finding the smallest door at the center of a seashell. Finn bursts from the ground near Jake, who casually comments on what must have been some cave. Finn's silence says more than words ever could. Some journeys change us too deeply for words. The road back has completed not just his physical return, but his inner transformation. Finn's returns to the Tree Fort are never simple homecoming. He brings with him new wisdom, scars, and perspectives that forever change how he sees his ordinary world. In OO, surviving the journey is only half the battle. What Finn does next will reveal if he's truly changed or just been swept along by the tide. The real challenge is seeing if the lessons he's learned actually stick once he's back to everyday life. It's about facing the final hurdles that show the change inside was deep and lasting. With every return, Finn is faced with the quiet challenge of proving whether the lessons he's learned will hold up in the face of his new reality. Whether blindfolded in the wilderness, possessed by a demonic amulet, or lost in the bureaucratic nightmare of the Nightosphere, Finn's road back always reveals his true character, the mark of a genuine hero's journey. When he returns, he is never quite the same person who left. Each adventure leaves its mark, building the hero piece by piece, challenge by challenge, and in those quiet moments back home, between one adventure and the next, we see the true measure of his growth. Not in grand gestures or epic battles, but in how he carries his experiences with him, forever changed by the road he's traveled. As Finn navigates the challenging journey back to his ordinary world, his true transformation is tested in ways that demand more than just survival. He must prove he's ready for the ultimate test that will define who he truly is. Every hero encounters a moment that shows if what they've learned holds any weight. It's that point where everything they've experienced is quietly put to the test. For Finn, these moments quietly shift the way he understands his own path. Throughout Adventure Time, we see Finn tested in ways that go beyond swinging swords or defeating monsters. Instead, his greatest challenges force him to demonstrate who he truly is when everything is on the line. In Burning Low, Finn demonstrates his transformation through sacrifice. When Flame Princess destabilizes with their first kiss and begins melting through the Earth's crust, Finn doesn't hesitate. He ties Jake's stretchy arm around himself and dives into the hole after her. This is no longer the Finn who once sought danger for the excitement of it. The early series Finn might have jumped for excitement and glory, but this Finn jumps knowing he might not return, driven by something deeper. Princess Bubblegum explains to Jake that cutting off oxygen will stop the reaction. But what about Finn trapped below? At the bottom of the hole, Finn finds Flame Princess extinguished and barely alive, her fiery form turned a ghostly blue. Though struggling to breathe himself in the oxygen-depleted environment, Finn demonstrates pure selflessness. Despite his severe burns, his primary concern is Flame Princess's well-being. Over time, Finn's understanding of heroism shifts from seeking excitement to quietly prioritizing others, even in the most intense moments. Then LSP undergoes her own transformation test in The Monster. After running away from her parents and terrorizing a village by stealing their crops, she initially remains self-centered when confronted by the angry villagers. Rather than showing remorse, she dismisses their suffering, even making excuses for her behavior. A shift happens when she realizes that these villagers are more than just strangers. They're parents doing the best for their kids. Something clicks in LSP when she realizes the shared experience of parenthood. In that moment, something shifts, and she glimpses a world outside her own. The basket of sandwiches, once just a meal for her hunger, takes on a deeper meaning of care and connection. By giving these sandwiches to the hungry villagers, LSP demonstrates genuine growth. Her journey shows how transformation often happens not through grand gestures, but through simple moments of empathy when we recognize ourselves in others. In the episode Buhoy, Finn is presented with perhaps his most profound test. After entering a pillow world during a knife storm, he lives an entire lifetime, growing up, meeting Rosalind, marrying, raising children, Jay and Bonnie, and ultimately dying as an old man surrounded by family. As elderly Pillow Finn passes away, his consciousness travels through strange cosmic space, briefly encounters the mysterious entity Golb, and returns to his young body in the real world. What happens next truly reveals his growth. He has no recollection of his entire Pillow existence. The quiet act of moving on, without holding on to other possibilities, speaks to a deeper understanding. Though he doesn't remember it at all, the experience leaves a quiet mark, teaching him something about the fleeting nature of life and the value of the present. These moments show that Finn's journey is less about a dramatic change, and more about the quiet shift from one way of being to another, learning that courage can take many forms. Throughout Adventure Time's colorful universe, we discover alongside Finn, the real challenge comes in embracing change, releasing the past, and realizing that strength often lies in how we care for those around us. As Finn moves through the most defining moments, his strength isn't measured by wit or power, but by the quiet acts of kindness and understanding he offers. What defines him isn't the events he faces, but the subtle shifts in who he becomes. In the end, the boy who once sought excitement transforms into a young man who understands what truly matters. And that transformation is the greatest adventure of all. If you're liking this video so far, then don't forget to hit the like button and leave a comment. As Finn faces his ultimate trials and proves his transformation, the true test becomes not just surviving, but understanding how to bring the lessons of his journey back to those who need them most. In Adventure Time, coming home from a journey is about more than just finishing what you started. It's about the lessons learned and how those experiences change the characters in the relationship. The episodes we've explored show that true heroism is in how those moments shape the people involved. Whether it's Finn realizing what it means to be a hero, or finding peace after facing tough challenges, these experiences highlight how much growth happens along the way. What really matters is how they take those lessons and apply them to their lives, ultimately transforming the world around them. Thank You is one of those episodes that sticks with you. It's not just a story about a snow creature and a fire pup. It's a really touching look at how two opposites can come together and form a bond. The snow golem and the fire pup shouldn't be able to coexist, but they do, showing that even the most unlikely relationships relationships can work when you find common ground. It's a reminder that growth often comes from unexpected places, and that even the most different parts of ourselves or others can create something beautiful when they connect. What begins as a mundane quest for food transforms into an extraordinary adventure of sacrifice and understanding. The snow golem's early encounters with the fire pup are filled with moments of unexpected friction. He tries to feed it, entertain it, and ultimately protect it, despite the fundamental incompatibility of their natures. Every interaction with the pup seems to bring him closer to losing everything, yet still, he continues. In the end, he makes an immense sacrifice to ensure the pup finds its way home. Melting himself almost completely, the snow golem traverses the treacherous Fire Kingdom, driven by a commitment that goes beyond self-preservation. This is a profound statement about compassion that challenges fundamental assumptions about differences, identity, and belonging. Each episode we've explored shows characters breaking through their initial limitations in remarkable ways. In the Pajama War, Princess Bubblegum and Finn escape the rigid confines of a structured slumber party, finding moments of genuine connection and spontaneous adventure. Their virtual reality journey becomes a metaphor for breaking free from expected constraints. The Candy People's increasingly chaotic reactions to Finn and Bubblegum's absence highlight the absurdity of rigid social structure. From Mr. Cupcake's destructive attempts to rescue them to the political power struggle that erupts, we see how easily social order can descend into chaos. Yet, Bubblegum's calm approach, allowing them to have a shot at self-governance, reveals a deeper understanding of growth and autonomy. BMO's noir-style adventure in BMO Noir reveals a side of things we often overlook. What begins as a simple search for a missing sock evolves into an intricate narrative about trust, perception, and the multifaceted nature of truth. BMO doesn't just solve a mystery. The character brings back a deeper understanding of the complicated layers that exist beneath seemingly simple situations. This is about the internal change that gives meaning to the entire journey. Each character brings back something intangible yet profoundly powerful. New perspectives that challenge existing worldviews, broken barriers that expand understanding, and connections that bridge seemingly impossible divides. For the Snow Golem, the takeaway is simple but powerful. Even the biggest differences don't have to divide us. His bond with the Firewolf pup proves that connection can grow in the most unlikely places. For BMO, it's learning that the truth can be messy and complicated. And for Finn and Princess Bubblegum, it's the quiet realization that friendship and spontaneity can mean more than rules or expectations. Sometimes, the best parts of life happen when you stop trying to follow a plan and just let things unfold. What makes these stories truly resonate is their ability to reveal growth through the most unexpected moments. Heroism often takes forms we don't immediately recognize. Sometimes, it's a melting snow golem risking everything for a firewolf pup, a small robot solving a complex mystery, or friends finding adventure in the most mundane situations. The real takeaway is what's learned along the way. It's in the quiet moments, the ones that nudge us closer, that shift how we understand ourselves and others. It's realizing that our differences can actually bring us closer, that kindness shows up in places we least expect, and that every journey leaves a mark, even if we don't notice it right away. Adventure Time consistently reminds us that the real adventure is never about the destination. It's about who we become along the way, the insights we gather, and the transformative wisdom we bring back to share with others, a gift far more valuable than any treasure. In the end, these characters show us that being a hero is about the quiet, meaningful moment of connection. It's about choosing to understand each other, to care, to look past what we first assumed. That kind of empathy might not look magical, but it's more powerful than anything else they find on their journeys. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.